My administration stands ready to help Lebanon create a future of economic development and peace with its neighbors.
Part of President Trump's speech yesterday in Saudi Arabia, as he's speaking to Mohammed bin Salman, the leader there, and those assembled, the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, was there. There's this whole meme going around with Rubio, just kind of sitting there. His hands are in his lap. His mouth is kind of agape. Like, would this guy just stop talking already? He just looks exhausted. It was just the way the picture was taken. Of course, that became the meme. Tony Katz, 93 WIBC. Good morning. Good to be with you. The speech is, I think, a little telling about how Trump works and acts and his transactional thought process. And I also think it exposes part of his philosophy that when he talks about ending war, like Ukraine, Russia, using it as an example, I think he is truly motivated by this. I think it really bothers him because he can't understand it. He doesn't have that in his life. He doesn't work from a place of, that's the enemy. He works from a place of, can't we just work together to get this thing done? We both make a little cash, we go on with our lives. What's the big deal? So when he has lines like this, they come from, I think, a very personal place, and it's interesting to hear it engaged as a bit of foreign policy.
Yet I'm here today not merely to condemn the past chaos of Iran's leaders, but to offer them a new path and a much better path toward a far better and more hopeful future. As I've shown repeatedly, I am willing to end past conflicts and forge new partnerships for a better and more stable world, even if our differences may be very profound, which obviously they are in the case of Iran. I have never believed in having permanent enemies. I am different than a lot of people think. I don't like permanent enemies, but sometimes you need enemies to do the job, and you have to do it right. Enemies get you motivated. In fact, some of the closest friends of the United States of America are nations we fought wars against in generations past, and now they're our friends and our allies.
He's not wrong about that. We take a look at Japan, we take a look at Germany. I think the argument, though, Mr. President, one that needs to be made clear, is that it took a butt kicking. We had to kick the living snot out of these people. We had to bomb them into submission. We had to make Hirohito admit that he wasn't a god. We had to destroy churches and schools and landscapes across Germany to get that point across. No pinpoint kind of warfare, right? No specific targeting. We took out everyone. I'm just saying that if you're going to try and create a peace with Iran, well, history would tell you that there's a methodology to these things if you want to make nations our friends. And it starts with the understanding that we're on top, not you. It's better with us on top, so just go with it. I mean, that is the answer. And his conversation about not liking permanent enemies is to the idea of how he reaches out, how he'll try and do this, try and do that. The whole conversation with North Korea in the first term. He's different in this way. And I don't think that is shocking or surprising. I think that for some people, they see the transactional and they decide that it is for a level of specific benefit, meaning Trump benefit. Oh, it benefits all his rich friends. It's all just leftist pablum silliness. It is a different approach to foreign policy. And I'm not always down with it. But the Saudi Arabia speech was very clear on that. But he was also very clear on Iran.
But with that said, Iran can have a much brighter future, but will never allow America and its allies to be threatened with terrorism or nuclear attack. The choice is theirs to make. We really want them to be a successful country. We want them to be a wonderful, safe, great country. but they cannot have a nuclear weapon. This is an offer that will not last forever. The time is right now for them to choose. Right now, we don't have a lot of time to wait.
So I don't believe in permanent enemies, but get on the stick or else. And, oh, you can't have a nuclear weapon, which got applause in Saudi Arabia because, of course, Saudi Arabia and Iran are both fighting for hegemony in the area. You've got the proxy war that's taking place between Saudi Arabia and Iran in Yemen. That's what this is. The Houthi rebels are an Iranian proxy to engage a fight against Saudi Arabia. That's what it is. So the speech is I think, needs a little more study as to what we think it actually meant. I have my own personal issues with forging further alliances with Saudi Arabia. But if Saudi Arabia is the tool we utilize to end the Iranian regime, which supports the terrorism that goes after Western civilization, well then, yeah, there are no permanent enemies. At least in this case, there's only aligned interests. And getting rid of the Iranian regime is an aligned interest. We'll talk more